Hello, you're watching TVP World Talks. I'm Jonasz Rybicki. Poland's economic outlook for 2025 remains positive, with a projected 3.6% GDP growth year-on-year expected to be maintained based on the most recent data. Poland's statistical office released the latest information on manufacturing, export and construction, while European data also demonstrates Poland's economy leading the way in terms of post-pandemic bounce back. So can Poland maintain its positive outlook despite pressures from the global economy? Joining us now is Artur Nowak-Far, professor at the Warsaw School of Economics. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning.
So let's begin by the latest data released by the Statistical Office. Now, it shows a decline in a variety of sectors. Nevertheless, it has been suggested that this would have no bearing on the overall economic growth. What is your take on that?
Well, I think it's a little bit overly optimistic because we'll have to take into account those negative trends as well. But I think so far so good. The growth is not jeopardized by any imminent elements.
So domestically, what are the most important factors to maintain this growth?
Well, the most important one, in my opinion, is the exports, if we want to maintain it, because so far the growth it has been relying on the domestic demand, and that's not enough, in my opinion. However, the domestic demand remains strong, but we will have to rebuild or rely a little bit more on exports, and it's not our role. It's not Poland's role. It's rather the problem in the eurozone that demand has not been growing enough.
And now this obviously touches upon the issue of these external pressures. Now the entire European Union is facing a variety of those. That obviously includes the question of tariffs. To what extent will the Polish economy be affected should Donald Trump and the authorities in the EU fail to reach an agreement on that issue?
Not that much, because most of our trade is with other European Union member states, not that much with the United States. However, indirectly will be negatively impacted because if the European Union economy slows down because of the American tariffs overall, it would not be able to create or to generate enough demand for the Polish product internally in the intra-EU trade.
So if the European Union is affected by that, everyone is affected, like Poland's major partner is Germany, for example. Now, Germany has branches of industry which stand to lose out a lot should these tariffs come into being, like the auto industry, for example. Are there any ways in which the Polish economy can actually shield itself ever so slightly from the impact of these developments in a worst-case scenario?
I think the EU funds are quite important for the Polish economy, not in the absolute terms, because despite of the popular sentiment, they are not that significant in comparison to the GDP. However, they create very strong positive stimulus for the economy because of the multiplier effect. They are going to be spent in those sectors which almost guarantee a very strong stimulus for the entire economy. And that's very positive. That's very also sort of a balancing element in the Polish economy, and we are well expecting lots of those funds in the foreseeable future.
Speaking of economic stimuli, the rearmament program. Now, some say that, of course, Poland will have to spend more on weapons, which means that the budget, for example, will be under greater strain. But on the other hand, also the rearmament program on the European scale generally could be an incentive for companies to grow. Do you think that, from the Polish perspective, this is a good thing?
This is a good thing, definitely considering the circumstances, because we are not well living in a bubble. We'll have to respond to the strains and arrows of outrageous fortune. But on the other hand, it creates a very strong technological stimulus, and also money-wise, it creates also a huge multiplying effect, which is, by the way, in my opinion, visible right now in the present economic data.
And do you think that Polish companies and the Polish industry will be able to take advantage of this rearmament program? Obviously, we're not the greatest manufacturer of weapons in the EU, but we do have certain branches, such as the manufacture of munitions, which are growing right now. So do you think that this may be something that Poland will benefit from?
It will. I do not have a very good knowledge of the defense industry at all, but as I've already said, the stimulus has already been reflected in the Polish economy. And when you have a look at the production data, I think they all show that the defense industry has a strong stimulus on that.
So now there is also a question of uncertainty, right? I mean, investors absolutely hate uncertainty. And yet the European Union is facing a variety of issues, like some governments, for example, in France, might be changing after a while. In Germany, the new government is still finding its footing. We have elections in countries like the Czech Republic, which could, again, turn the policies upside down to some extent. Do you think that overall the European Union is ready to face this uncertainty so that investors will continue to engage in the process of building up European economies and will not migrate elsewhere due to that uncertainty?
Well, I don't think so, because we are talking about the stable processes or the industries which cannot really get out of the country very easily. They require heavy investments, and whenever you have those, then this is not a very liquid capital, and they will have to be stuck in the respective countries. But on the other hand, I think that also all the possibilities you have projected in front of us, also those negative in a sense, they are not that negative, which so that they would not be able to impact industry that heavily. I mean, the only area where I will see some deterioration possibly would be the area of the rule of law, which is quite important for businesses. But on the other hand, I think that the grip would not be that heavy.
What about the question of Chinese investments? Now, from a Polish perspective, we can see that Chinese companies are making their way into the Polish market with an increasing boldness. Like the auto industry, again, you can see major Chinese brands beginning to sell their products and finding new customers. What do you think about this phenomenon? What does it mean for the Polish economy, both directly and again indirectly, as it is linked with the manufacturing base in the European Union in general?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to remind ourselves that China is the third country, which means that we are, together with other EU member states, have one trade policy vis-a-vis China. But this is not directly responding to your question. I mean, to directly react to your question, I will have to say that China represents a very mighty and very high tech, to some extent, industry, which has been developing very quickly. And the wise trade policy will have to protect the incumbent industries in the European Union, including Poland. But on the other hand, will have to somehow accept all those investments which are connected with high tech, which the transfer of with the transfer of technology, so that we will be able also to reap off the benefits out of the new knowledge, the new skills, the new technology.
And speaking of which, and this will be my final question today, is Poland ready for the massive advancements in technology such as AI, for example? Can you see signs that companies in Poland are ready to harness these developments instead of being left behind?
Well, I think the process would be a little bit dreadful because of unpreparedness of many industries or many enterprises to that process. But on the other hand, I would somehow reverse your question and say, well, we do not have. Much choice. We'll have to adapt. We'll have to be in the process as soon as possible.
Professor Artur Nowak-Far was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight.
Thank you very much too.
And I'm Jan You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news, updates and commentary.